Did it really fast. Shit. Good.
Worship, you are live. Good evening and welcome to the regular session of council for the Municipality of Bayham. It is Thursday, May the 7th, 2026, 7 p.m. and I will call this meeting to order. I'll remind council members of any disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. See none noted. Item 3, review of items not listed on the agenda. Alan?
Thank you, Your Worship. Staff have been analyzing the projected admin schedules for the summer, as well as looking at the logistics, because we added that extra meeting at the end of this month. And there's a strong recommendation from staff that we move the June 18th meeting from the 18th to 25th, closing the gap between the June and July meetings, so they're closer together, as well as having it just basically smoother going into it as well. That is our request.
So the request is to include a discussion on that. Okay, would that be appropriate under section 16 other business?
We can do that, yes.
Okay, would you like a motion now to include that or amend the agenda?
Yes, please.
All right. Council, having heard the request for discussion on moving some council meeting dates in June around. So can we have a mover and seconder to include that discussion on section 16 of the agenda? Moved by Councillor Froese, Councillor Emerson will second. All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Section 4, announcements. Does anyone have any announcements for this evening? Councillor Chilcott, no announcements? Wow, I'm astounded. Okay. Excuse me, Chief, if you got an announcement you'd wish to make, please come up to the microphone so that they can hear you at home.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a reminder of the pancake breakfast, long weekend in May at Purple Fire Station. And everybody in the public is welcome to attend.
What are the hours for that, Harry?
I believe it starts at 8 o'clock and goes till about noon.
8 till noon. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. And for those of you who want a little more than pancakes, come on down to Vienna on the same date from 8 till 1. And we'll offer you breakfast down there on the 17th.
Do lunch and then breakfast.
Yeah, well, you can breakfast and then brunch. Yes. Yeah, there you go. Also, we seem to be getting into the swing of spring, so to speak, and the kickoff, of course, will be Mother's Day this weekend. It was quick to come this year, so do your mother right. Okay, or is that do right by your mother? Thank you. That's better. Excuse me, that's better. Absolutely. All right, there are no presentations this evening or delegations. We have moving down to section 7, adoption of the minutes of the previous meetings. 2 sets of minutes were included in your package, including the regular meeting of council held April the 16th, 2026, and the planning public meeting held April 16th, 2026. Hopefully everyone's had an opportunity to peruse those minutes. And if there are no errors or omissions, then I would entertain a mover and seconder for the following, that the minutes from the regular meeting of council and the planning public meeting held on April the 16th, 2026 be approved as presented. I have a mover and seconder. Councillor Emerson will move. Councillor Froese will second. All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Moving on to section 11, physical services and emergency services. 11.2 reports to council. We have report PS 0626 by Steve Adams, Manager of Public Works, the Drainage Superintendent regarding quotation award 2026 capital asphalt paving, capital items numbers FA 11 and PW 39. Good evening, Steve.
Thank you, Your Worship, members of council. Yes, the report before you is in regards to capital item FA 11 and PW 39. As you may remember, November 4th, 2025 was a capital budget, which was received as a draft. Capital item FA 11 was for the Marine Museum parking lot. That we had 75,000 for the reconstruction of that parking lot. And PW 39 for the North Street resurfacing. There's 35,000 for the surface replacement of that. So within the body of the report, if you remember on the Capitol tour, we took a tour of the Marine Museum parking lot. 2025 in the springtime, we had some significant failure. Sub base, we had some clay and some water coming up. So staff have identified that more than a resurfacing. That's only gotten worse since last year. So we will be taking the sub base out of that parking lot, and we'll be reconstructing from the bottom up with there'll probably be an added catch basin and an added curb line along the road, kind of runs parallel with Pitt Street. This is going to allow for additional parking. We tried to utilize the best way we can get the most parking out of that parking lot. So by adding the curb instead of that open kind of face, it's going to allow for 21 new parking spaces in total. So the project that's involved is pretty much the Public Works team will be doing most of the construction, the paving, the concrete, and the line painting will get done through a contractor, as generally with our construction projects. However, with that, yeah, we had three submissions submitted. And that came in at $25,150 for the paving, the resurfacing of that. And there'll be a small amount for the line painting and then the curb on top of that. Moving on to the second one, which is capital item PW 39. So this is the southern portion of North Street in Vienna. You remember last year it was reconstructed due to the subdivision being installed. Unfortunately, at the time, we couldn't extend the pavement work down just because of significant sub base and the budget that we had. So we added it, we pushed it through to this year so we can match up with it. So with that project, it's a general road reconstruction. There's not a lot in the road other than sanitary and a water chamber. So this is an old decommissioned water chamber, which serves as a bypass or it allows them to turn water off one side and turn it on the other side in case there is ever any main break or something. If it's a way to eliminate it, I'm not good at saying that what it is, Jeff, but anyhow, we've done the research on it. The chamber, we don't want to leave the chamber in the roadway. It's caused over the years, right? You know, the chamber's not moving, the road's moving around it. So we want to eliminate this chamber. We're just going to reconnect the pipes outside it and remove the chamber. So that project is a little bit more intensive than the original budgeted price. So we do foresee it being really close to the budget line, but with the existing capital material that we have left over from last year, we're pretty solid. We're going to fit within the budget quite nicely. So that project's going to get started ASAP. The marine parking lot was supposed to get started. Unfortunately, the concrete contractor couldn't get here. As you may know, the Marine Museum opens next weekend, so we really didn't want to dig 2 feet out of the parking lot during that. So that will now proceed probably in September. We'll have it planned for right after the year. With that, the quoted price for the pavement was also done through Peters Paving, and the quoted price was $28,345.80, excluding HST. That was for the North Street allotment. So a total price of $53,495,000. And any questions? I'm here to help.
All right, thank you for that report, Steve. Does anyone have any questions? Steve, the Marine Museum parking lot, you're going to put a curb along the roadway there. It's a raised curb, obviously. The driveway, are you expecting it to be placed more towards the museum itself on the east end of the parking lot, or are you gonna right off the street?
So the curb is what we're gonna do. It's gonna be a rolled curb. We'll have just a narrow, it's gonna, it's gonna be a loop, but
Yep.
just a little bit of asphalt in the middle in case people do ride it. We're
Right.
not gonna put a big heavy barrier. And that's actually just gonna be in the center. So it's gonna be a U-shape parking lot, I guess, in and out.
Okay,
So you'll be able to come in and then there'll be parking in the center behind this curb and then along the edges as well. So
thank
it
you.
was laid out. So yeah.
Thank you for that. Just wondering if you had any conversation with the folks down at the museum? If they had any concerns regarding the redesign?
Yeah, actually, I brought it up with the curator and just kind of showed her the layout with the accessibility parking spots. And yeah, it looks like they're pretty excited for it and definitely
Good.
excited to have it redone. And they weren't excited to have it done while they were there. So
Yeah,
that's why
nothing
we're going to
says,
adjust our timeline a little bit.
and nothing says welcome to our museum when you got
Yeah.
a foot drop. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So good thinking, putting this off till the fall. Any other questions? Any concerns? Okay. We have a proposed motion that reads, report PS 0626 regarding quotation award 2026 capital asphalt paving. Capital item numbers FA 11 and PW 39 be received for information. And that council accepts the quote provided by Peters Paving, Inc. for the installation of asphalt pavement at the Port Burwell Marine Museum, capital item number FA 11, at a quoted price of $25,150 plus applicable HST. And that council accepts the quote provided by Peters Paving, Inc. for the installation of asphalt pavement for the North Street reconstruction project, capital item number PW 39 at the quoted price of $28,345.80 plus applicable HST. Can I have a mover and seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Chilcott. Second by Councillor Emerson, all in favor? And that's carried. Item B, report PS 0726 by Steve Adams, Manager of Public Works, Drainage Superintendent, regarding the 2026 roads surface treatment, capital items number PW 37 and PW 134. Stephen, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through, yes. So once again, this was another capital item that we're moving with. This is a county-led surface tender. Generally, sorry, it's a county-led surface tender. This year, Central Elgin took the lead. The County of Elgin had no
Right.
surface treatment, so Central Elgin took the lead on this with RFP 2026-102, and it was issued April 13th. So I think 6 of the municipalities jumped on this municipal tender, which received 2 bids. And Duncor Enterprise was submitting the lowest bid at 3.78 million, excluding HST. And Bayham's share of the contract for PW 37, which was Murray Road, and Chute Line, which was PW 134. And this totaled 87,531. So this is just a single surface. It's not a double. It's a preventative maintenance go around. And with this one, it slightly did come in over budget. It was roughly $2,000 over our capital expenditures. However, I did identify a few areas that we wanted to throw some asphalt patching down on prior to the surface treatment. So we have a projected until we get out there with the asphalt, we won't be more than the 15,000. However, we projected 15,000, which brought the project total up to 104,000 and just $72. So a overage of 17,072. And that is just based off the asphalt patching before we lay it down. So yeah, thanks to Central Elgin, it's a significant contract across the town or the county. We are the smallest this year for the work. However, the recommendations before you, if you have any questions.
Again, thank you very much for that report, Steve. Does anyone have any questions? Steve, how much of Chute Line is going to be resurfaced? Just up to the top of the chapel, or?
Yeah, that's correct. So we're gonna do some quick ditching here in the next couple weeks
Mhm.
before, just to clean it up before, and then from Plank Road right up to the gravel section of Chute Line. We'll go right
Okay.
through that intersection and clean it up before. It's been quite a few years since that was done. It's held up well, so the base is pretty good on it. A little
Right.
bit of paving along the edge.
So the majority of the asphalt patching will take place on the Murray.
Yeah, there's not a lot. There's some center crown asphalt work. There's some damage done in front of one of the houses.
Right.
But it's pretty, we're a few loads per road. It's gonna be pretty straightforward.
All right, thank
So-
you for that. Any additional questions from any member? Seeing none? Then the motion would read that report PS 0725 regarding the 2025 roads surface treatment, capital items number PW 37 and PW 134 be received for information. And that the council of the corporation of the municipality of Bayham is supportive of proceeding with the bid provided by Duncor Enterprises, Inc. for $3,781,252.51 plus HST, of which $87,531 plus HST is Bayham's portion. And that the road construction reserve be utilized to fund the estimated cost overage on this project, including completion of any additional asphalt patching to a net set limit of $17,072. And that a bylaw authorizing an agreement between the municipality of Bayham and Duncor Enterprises, Inc. for surface treatment services be brought forward for council's consideration. Can I have a mover and seconder for that? Councillor Froese will move, Councillor Chilcott will second. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Item C, report PS 826 by Steve Adams, Manager of Public Works, Drainage Superintendent, regarding the wastewater treatment plant capacity 2026 update.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just want to note that this is not my report. It does state that in the
Yeah.
agenda. I don't want to take the credit for it. This is our new water supervisor for whoever hasn't met him. So I figure it's a good time never to introduce him to the public. It's Jeff Carsey. You'd see him around Port Burwell. He's been around here for a while now, but I'm definitely here to help him with any questions. However, I'll let him take it away. Make it a double night for new reporters.
Perfect. Jeff, welcome to the podium, please. Remember to please use the mic so they can hear you at home.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Your Worship. This report provides council with an update on the wastewater treatment plant capacity based on 2025 flow data and ongoing development activity. Previous studies in 2022 and 2025 identified increasing pressure on the sanitary system due to residential growth and wet weather infiltration. In 2025, approved development was estimated to place a wastewater treatment plant at approximately 93 to 94% allocated capacity. Updated 2025 data now indicates the plant operated at approximately 65% average annual capacity, down from 73% in 2024, primarily due to a drier weather and reduced infiltration in 2025. Staff caution that this reduction is likely temporary, as wetter conditions in 2026 are already trending closer to what 2024 levels were. Illegal sump pump connections and stormwater infiltration, particularly in Port Burwell and Vienna, continue to significantly impact the wastewater treatment plant flows. The municipality continues to experience strong development interest. Existing approved and proposed developments could add approximately 199 future units or lots and an estimated 169 cubic meters per day in additional wastewater flow, increasing wastewater treatment plant utilization to approximately 80 to 81% capacity under current conditions. While capacity remains below the MECP 90% threshold, peak wet weather events continue to strain the system and increase the risk of operational exceedances and development proceeds. Wastewater treatment plant expansions remain included in the municipality's 2026 to 2030 capital plan at an estimated cost of approximately $36.4 million. Staff will also pursue an optimization review through AQUA, Ontario Clean Water Association, to determine whether additional capacity can be achieved through operational improvements and limited upgrades. Staff recommend that council continue to carefully consider future development approvals due to cumulative impacts on the wastewater treatment capacity and to forward this report to Elgin County Planning Services for future planning processes.
Thank you, Jeff, for that report. Does anyone have any questions, comments? Well, I would like to commend you on the report. I find it particularly interesting, and I really appreciate the second table you've got in there with the progress of the development that's taking place. We know that a lot of these things are underway, but just how many units are actually online, this captures that and lets you know what's going on. So it's a nice snapshot. Again, it's always good to remind the policymakers of where we are with this system. We know that we have challenges ahead of us, and that some of those challenges are dependent upon future capacity. And we also know that some of that capacity is used up by stormwater. And that, again, is something that we would hope to open up and mitigate that through future stormwater works. There's challenges ahead, obviously, but thank you for keeping an eye on it and keeping council apprised of it as well. Certainly appreciate it. Okay. Any other comments from anyone? Then I have a motion that reads a report PS 0826 regarding wastewater treatment plant capacity 2026 update be received for information, and that this report be forwarded to Elgin County Planning Services to support future planning reviews and recommendations for development in Bayham. Can I have a mover and seconder? I keep waiting for the deputy mayor. There. Moved by Deputy Mayor Weisler, seconded by Councillor Chilcott. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on with item D, report FR 0326 by Harry Barron, Fire Chief, CEMC regarding a fireworks bylaw. Chief.
Thank you, Worship, Council. I'm here to present to you the proposal to enact a fireworks bylaw for the municipality of Bayham. Fireworks and pyrotechnics are explosives, and they're covered under the legislation of the Department of Natural Resources Explosive Act and also the Fire Prevention and Protection Act. But these, both these acts allow for the municipality to in fact, put further stringent laws to protect their communities as they see fit. We did have a fireworks bylaw back in 1995, but it was Port Warwell fireworks. And before amalgamation, it was meant with unauthorized fireworks and also associated gatherings, and but did not deal with fireworks themselves. In our noise bylaw, it does cover the vibration of fireworks, and it talks about having them on certain days and in parades. This bylaw does not contradict that bylaw at all. This bylaw is dealt to do with the safety concerns of fireworks and pyrotechnics. And although many people think that consumer fireworks are harmless, in fact, they have caused to property losses, human injuries, and even fatalities. Statistics show that the average between 2013 and 20 were 16 calls per year. And 2021 were 35 calls, and 2036 were 36 calls across the province from the Ontario Fire Marshal records. Last summer, there was an incident that I was involved in which an intoxicated male was lighting off fireworks in a village area in a very unsafe manner. I was very concerned for the neighbors, and he told me in no certain terms that we did not have a bylaw and I was to get off his property. And I had to oblige him. And I basically stood up for myself in the area for an hour just to make sure that it was safe. And ensuring that I didn't have to call the station-ins to the two stations with regards to a structure fire. I can tell you personally that I do know of an incident where he was on New Year's Eve in a snowstorm. An individual was lighting on fire, and one of the fireworks was not extinguished, landed on his roof, and he lost his entire house over this matter. So they are dangerous. So our staff did was we spoke to our neighbors and neighboring municipalities. We also spoke to and obtained copies of similar municipalities around the province with regards to what they have for bylaws. And I can tell you we're the only one in our area that does not have a bylaw for fireworks. I also spoke to the municipality, or sorry, staff also spoke to the municipality or the township of Malahide. And with their cooperation, it was agreed that we would combine and have input from both municipalities. So staff from both municipalities came together and we're presenting this bylaw before you. It also adds to the fact that we share the same bylaw officer, and so that our bylaw officer can be equal across both borders. This bylaw allows for reasonableness, and to allow fireworks to the balance between safety and also for pleasure. It addresses safe sale, handling, sale, or storage, ignition of consumer and display fireworks and pyrotechnics. With regards to display fireworks and pyrotechnics, they are extremely legislated by within the Explosive Act on what they require when they're lighting them off, how they can adapt them if the wind changes, and everything else with regards to making them safe. They're not my concern. It's more the consumer bylaws. But the nice thing about this bylaw, I hopefully will never have to be back here to explain that we need another bylaw for this, because I believe this will cover us for years. I'm open to questions.
All right, thank you, Chief. Questions? Counselor Chilcott.
Thank you. Excuse me. For the licensing, do they not already require licenses to sell fireworks?
Your worship, no, not through
There's
us.
nothing.
They may have to require through the Explosive Act, but not through the municipality of Bayham.
So then we would require them to apply for a license? And what would that cost be? I'm thinking like we have stores and that sell them every year. And now we're adding
It'd be
criteria
minimal.
to them.
I do not have it in front of me, your worship, we do not have that information in front of me, but it would be minimal, I believe.
And again, one other thing, what actual restrictions are you putting on the use of fireworks then? Like what is going to change other than the fact that you can come in and say you're using them wrong?
What is going to change is the area that you're allowed to engage them, the wind direction and the wind speed. For the winds, we say that in our burning bylaw that you're not allowed to have a person that has a permit is not allowed to have a fire when it's 20 kilometers an hour per hour or more. Yet we say with fireworks, there is no wind speed. There is no bylaw. So we've now matched that to our bylaw for our burning bylaw. That is one such change. Another such change is that you have to have an area that can be safely to do it. I believe it's 8 meters by 8 meters. So if you do not have an 8 meter by 8 meter backyard, then that's not a safe area.
And that's it?
That's basically the main two protections that we're going through. It also talks about pyrotechnics, which is for those that are theaters and everything else, but they are fairly good in their safeness. But in the act it says the person with authority with jurisdiction is to inspect this, and this also complies with that.
I just don't want to see us eliminating family gatherings that have fireworks and everything. Like our neighbors have them every year and they do them safely. They keep them way back to the field and they have water and everything with them. And I don't want to see that type of thing being taken away from families because
Again, if the space is there and it is a safe manner, you're not going to at all hear from the bylaw department. It is those that are unsafe that we're trying to protect the neighbors. And the neighbors on this occasion that I'm talking about did have a legitimate concern, a very legitimate concern.
I don't think this will stop that, but
But it gives staff the ability to enforce it and to have them to stop it, cease and desist right then.
okay, thank you for your
Okay,
answers.
Counselor Emerson.
So nobody checked with provincial regulations about the sale, and I think particularly in the retail, I've never seen anybody sell. It seems like they put them out a week or so before the events and
Okay.
then they put them away. So there must be regulations already. And I think that section is an overstep of and a redundancy most likely. And I think you should go back and research provincial laws because I particularly opposed to a variety store or another store in our area that's selling fireworks that probably already has a permit to sell them, and we're just forcing them to get another permit for no real reason.
Okay.
Right. And so that's my question. My question is, have you researched the Ontario laws to see if there's already duplicate licensing requirements?
Okay, thank you. I think we're gonna have a little more discussion on this, but we have to break right at the moment for a public meeting. Chief, please stand by. Okay, we're
you're-
going to recess this meeting so we can enter into a public. Meeting. Okay. Okay, we are now moving into a statutory planning meeting. It is Thursday, May the 7th, 2026, 7:30 PM, and I will call this meeting to order. This evening, we're dealing with a proposed zoning bylaw amendment, ZBA 0426 Van Quatham Farms Limited at 7923 Coyle Road. I would remind members of any disclosures of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. Seeing none. This evening, we're dealing with proposed zoning bylaw amendment ZBA 0426 Van Quatham Farms Limited at 7923 Coyle Road. The purpose of this bylaw amendment is to rezone two portions of the subject lands as a result of a surplus farm dwelling severance in zoning bylaw Z 456 2003. The proposed severed lot is to be rezoned from agricultural A11 to site-specific rural residential RRXX zone, which requires relief from the following provisions. Section 7.4 to permit a minimum lot frontage of 39 meters, whereas a minimum lot frontage of 50 meters is required. The proposed retained lot is to be rezoned from agricultural A11 to a site-specific special agricultural A2 XX zone to prohibit new dwellings. The subject lands are known as 7923 Coyle Road West Side, south of Lamer's Line. The effect of this bylaw will be to recognize the residential nature of the newly created residential lot and to prohibit new dwellings on the retained farm parcel in accordance with the official plan as part of the clearing of consent conditions for Elgin County Land Division Committee, file number E6-26. At this point, I will call for any public participation. So anyone wishes to speak to this application are welcome to attend the podium. Put out a second call for any public participation. Finally, a third call. Okay, I would look to our planning coordinator. There is no correspondence with this application. And there is no other business. Which moves us into the adjournment that the zoning bylaw will be considered at a future meeting of council and that pursuant to Planning Act requirements, the public meeting for zoning application ZBA 4126 is now complete. It is 41, correct?
Sorry, your worship, it's just 4.
4. Thank you. ZBA 426 is now complete at 7:33 PM. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Emerson will move. And Councillor Froese will second. All in favor? That is carried. So now we'll return to our regular agenda and where we left off with that discussion and a question from Councillor Emerson. Chief, do you have a rebuttal for Councillor Emerson? If not, we can carry on and give you an opportunity to come up with one.
Your worship, I took the time to do a little bit of research. And according to the research I've obtained is that there is no provincial legislation to obtain a permit. The permits you see are all from municipalities. Our municipality of London is an example. Elizabeth municipality, all municipalities usually have in their bylaw their permit. And that's the permit that is required for sale. as I said, we are one of the only few municipalities I know of that do not have such a permit or have such a bylaw to cover this.
Okay. Counselor Chilcott.
Thank you. Just one more question. This permit, would it be something that would cover the year for the store, or would it have to be individually done?
Oh,
Or-
absolutely, it'd cover for the year. It's limiting the time they can sell it, and as Councilor Emerson, your worship, as Councilor Emerson said, it is basically 2 weeks before the event.
Mhm.
And as he said, that's what others do. That's exactly what this one will do. It's no different than what's basically across the province, from what I saw.
All right. Chief, the proposed bylaw you're putting forward would allow for someone to apply for exemptions to have a display outside of the prescribed dates that's recognized within the bylaw.
Absolutely, your worship.
Okay, so simply come to council petition.
If you
Get
have an
permission.
event,
Yeah.
absolutely.
All right. And a final question, from an enforcement point of view, it's going to be complaint based, I assume? Because I don't think, other than yourself, who lives in the community, our bylaw enforcement officer is going to make a trip down patrol on.
Your worship, as per the bylaw
Yeah.
policy, it is complaint driven.
Thank you. Councilor Froze.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. Under definitions, I'm just scrolling down in the report. I guess I just need some clarification. It says in this bylaw, authorized person display fireworks means a person certified and working under the direct supervision of a display fireworks supervisor. What does that pertain to?
When you, to your worship, a display bylaw or display fireworks is the fireworks such as we will have at an event down at the pier.
Okay.
That is a display bylaw or that is a display person. He has his certificate. Every year he's applied. Every year I've verified his certification.
Yeah.
You have to, an individual that's going to ignite fireworks bylaws, display bylaw, or sorry, display fireworks, they must in fact be certified. And you have to take a course through the Explosive Act. I have taken the course. I've also taken the course with regards to PARIC, but I cannot go out and purchase fireworks. You have to be a supervisor, and a supervisor also has limitations. There are supervisors that can ignite them from land. There's supervisors that can light them from afloat, but you have to have a different certification. So that is what is meant by it. It
So
is,
the
these are
term-
professionals. These are the professionals.
The term display fireworks is pertaining specifically to a
that
professional,
to that category of fireworks that they can purchase.
because we display fireworks every Canada Day as a family,
Yours are consumer.
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 Yeah.
You're the one that go to the store and buy them at the store.
So why do we need another bylaw if we're already, if everything is being already certified and everything, why do we have to put it in a bylaw, I guess?
The ability is to have, again, safety, and you're allowed to have this bylaw, and every municipality has this bylaw to meet the needs of their individual municipalities. And the display bylaw is one that covers, it allows us to cover what is the individuals, and again, allows us to obtain a permit for it.
Councilor Froze.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. So, Fire Chief Bernick, so on Canada Day, when my family has a great big gathering, lots of food and a great fun day, and we have fireworks in the evening, nothing will change for us because we have a huge backyard on the farm. Nothing will change for us.
To your worship, that is absolutely correct.
All right.
We can still go to Mark's and buy our fireworks
As long as he gets a permit.
as long as,
Yes, as long as Mark has the permit and sells them appropriately.
yeah.
But as far as you and your family, Councilor Froze, you're absolutely 100% right. Nothing's going to change.
I happened to stop at Mark's this morning and had a conversation with him, and he says if he doesn't get a permit, people will just go outside of Bayham and buy them. And he wasn't very fond of the idea of having to get a permit, right?
Your worship, I'm sorry about that.
Mhm.
But those people that have sold in other municipalities have obtained a permit.
They have permits?
They have permits. Municipality of Malai, or sorry, the Township of Malai, in their current one, they have permits. That has not changed in their bylaw.
Right.
Everybody else has permits. If I could add one more thing, I just got a message from the municipality or the township of Malahide. And their council has reviewed this, has already passed it,
They're pretty quick because they just started meeting 10 minutes ago.
just got the message.
Wow. All right.
Good thing we're not them.
Good thing we're not them.
And I agree with that. That's why I'm here before you.
Okay. So from a high level, then it's status quo, business as usual. And the only difference is that this would give authority to exercise complaint or investigate or put a stop work on a complaint that's taking place
Correct.
for aberrant behavior. Yes, Counselor Chilcott.
Sorry, so let's say you do the licensing for the shops to sell them. Does this make them more liable for anything that should happen? Like they sell them properly, they store them properly, and they sell them to somebody who's 19 and over. And then that person goes out and uses them incorrectly. It's like drinking and driving, right? Does that come back on them because they're licensed now?
Your worship, although I'm not a lawyer and I don't believe I can properly answer that question. Mr. Clerk?
Alan.
Yeah, your worship, I don't believe any member of staff would be able to appropriately answer
No.
that question at the moment.
Sorry, it just came to me. All right. So I definitely, if they have to be permanent, it has to be a very minimal cost because businesses are struggling as it is. And I don't know how you determine the costs.
Chief, through your joint investigation with the Township of Malahide officials, did they disclose what their permit fees are worth? Their sales permits?
Your worship, if I could be adjourned for a few minutes and carry on business, I will make that inquiry.
But it kind of says it's to be discussed later in this presentation.
Yeah, okay, I was just trying to get a parallel here or trying to get an example of what kind of a fee you're looking at. If it's the fee that's giving council pause, or if it's the notion of overall having the bylaw, like just trying to distinguish or trying to find out what the objection is. That's all.
Well, to be clear, through you, Mr. Mayor, like clear is that it is actually hard. Businesses have to have multiple licenses and remember everything, and it's another added cost. And I don't see anybody not displaying fireworks in that time period, outside that time period. If they could, they probably would, so I suspect that they can't because they're not.
Okay.
You know, so I really have a problem with that. And on top of that, we don't seem to have adequate, like, it's another burden on staff that seems to be, we could use a couple more people in the office and we're asking the existing staff to do more and add out another license. You know?
How many outlets currently sell within Bayham?
Your worship, I believe there's only two.
All right. Going back to other jurisdictions, you often will see roadside portables or whatever else year-round selling fireworks. So you understand what I'm getting at. It does exist. I would believe that just use the example that the local variety store will truck them out, as you say, maybe 7 to 10 days prior to a recognized event, and then they'll go back into storage, or someone else will bring in additional for the next time. But yeah. So do you want some more information on this, council?
Yeah, or just strike out the license part.
Is that, what does that, can you answer that question at this point, chief? If you remove the licensing provision from a sales perspective, does that diminish the effectiveness of your bylaw
Your
for what you're
worship,
trying to accomplish?
if I may add, instead of eliminating the licensing, you can negate the fee for the licensing.
So they still just make application?
You can do that, and that would not change the essence of our bylaw to the essence of the Malahide bylaw. If the fees, the cost, council has the right to change, to tell us what the fee should be.
All right. Is that a compromise for council? Not really.
Still staff to it.
for 2 applications to come in and fill out a business license. Okay,
It,
Alan, please.
Your worship, a license could be issued in perpetuity. It doesn't necessarily have to be annual. So we,
There's another avenue. Thank
so
you.
that we could just be a one and done until any changes in the bylaws. In addition, with our fees, I don't know our schedule of fees off the top of my head, but I believe we would have to establish a fee for this in the first place before we can even start enforcing any money regarding that
Yeah.
right now. So we're more along the lines in a position right now, whether the municipality wants to pass the bylaw and have enforceable safety issues for the fire department. I didn't quite say that right, but it's more, we're more concerned with the safety of the community right now than we are with any fees or things along those lines.
Through your worship, Mr. Clerk is 100% correct. And in fact, I do remind council that we do have a long weekend coming up very shortly.
Wow. Whatever we do, it's not gonna be in place for this period. Council Rose.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. I guess in your story earlier, who was to blame, the alcohol or the fireworks?
It's the
I mean,
individual.
the same thing could have happened with a knife. We ban all knives.
Yeah.
With all
Chief.
due respect, that's not quite correct. We do have certain regulations to knives. We certain have regulations to guns. We have certain regulations to everything that people violate. And it's always been this case of, is it the actual individual or the weapon? Well, in this case was an actual individual, but you're 100% right. But the staff did not have any mechanism to, in fact, make the safety of the people. And that's what this comes down to, is making the safety of people and giving staff the ability to ensure the safety of the public in general.
Well, actually, if someone was threatening you or making gestures, that would be assault. And I think that's already covered in the criminal code.
Well, that was going to be the next question, in the absence of a particular bylaw, if someone was in some instance, or in someone's interpretation, abusing the safe handling of a particular firework, would this be jurisdiction of the OPP?
No,
No.
Your Worship, there's no bylaw for it. There's nothing to say that you cannot do it. There is nothing to say to make fireworks safe.
In the absence of any particular bylaw, if I took a Roman candle and fired it at you, that's not considered an assault.
Your Worship, with all due respect to that, if you aim at me, that would be assault.
Then there
But
is,
if you're lighting it up into the air.
Yeah.
And it has a chance to go into your neighbor's property.
Right.
It's an unsafe position. There is no.
now that's the point. Thank you. That's what I was trying to draw out. That's the point. Counselor Chilcott.
I would be agreeable to a license in perpetuity at zero cost
Okay,
to the person and the business, so that you can't just grandfather it in because your business had it before.
I understand. So all right. You're speaking then in favor of a bylaw with the provision that the license would be, as you say, in perpetuity, no fee.
Correct.
Is that what you heard?
That's what I heard, your worship, yes.
Deputy Mayor, you've got your hand up.
Yes, thank you for you, Mr. Mayor. I know it puts the chief on the spot, but did he not just say earlier that the cost is minimal? Like, do we have an idea of how much these permit fees are?
Well, we could have a zero fee is what he's getting at.
Do we have comparables to other municipalities?
No, I don't think he's prepared with that. Are you, chief?
At this particular second.
No. Alan,
Your
please.
worship, acting CAO James has his hand up.
Okay, Mr. James.
Norfolk County's fireworks permit application fee is $93. Just to remind council and the fire chief can reassure this that the fireworks is actually regulated by the Ministry of Natural Resources federally.
All right.
And several municipalities will have permits, and a business can be held liable if they sell it incorrect or cause damage. If the user does have it, that business can be then sued back through the general liability of the sold business. But that would go under that business's general liability.
All right, then Lauren, that $93 fee, is that an annual fee in the county of Norfolk?
I'm whipping through the rates and fees guideline right now, your worship.
Just as an example. Yeah, all right,
Kim,
Councilor Emerson.
so if that was, this thing was, I think we should put that back and then write in the bylaw, there is no fee in perpetuity for the permit.
Well, any council could change that. So the point is, yes, you can adopt a bylaw today. Some future council can change it. That's how it works.
But until then,
Until then, it would stay.
that in there.
Okay. Deputy Mayor. Looking for your thoughts there.
Thank you through you, Mr. Mayor. I have just one question then. If these businesses that are selling fireworks could potentially be held liable, does the permitting process then assist them in the event there's an issue? Does that provide extra coverage for them as a business to have that permit?
We would form a layer of compliance, your worship, to deputy mayor. It'd be no different if we were offering a permit to another business. It's just a form of a municipal bylaw compliance. But in this situation, they would still have the federal act. They would have to be regulated. They'd also have the compliance of their general liability insurance because they'd have to disclose this to their insurance agent and their adjuster. And they would also have safety and procedures for storing it, selling it, and making sure it's not in a flammable situation. Correct your word, correct, fire chief? It also has a fire control bylaws just for storage of their own property as a commercial business, correct?
That is correct. That's under the Explosive Act plus the fire, I believe under the fire code, there's also some safety, some minor safety.
The risks for council runs is you get into situations where communities will have portable trailers, which is very common with communities that with Kingsman clubs. I believe there's a father and son business in Malahide, fire chief, that's also volunteer firefighters that annually will sell fireworks. So they have to have a general liability insurance for their traveling trailer. Commercial liabilities, most municipalities require a minimum of $2 million. No different if they're cutting municipal cemeteries. For instance, we require X amount of liability in WSIB to be on our properties. So they have their own thresholds through that. Look, $93 is what they're charging over in Norfolk. I can't find out if it's in perpetuity, your worship and members of council. Yes, there's an administrative burden to the staff resources we have at a time where we're very thin. But at the same time, there's also an extreme burden that if we're having 20 volunteer firefighters go to put out a house that we could have stopped from going and being on fire, there's also that element to your worship and council.
Thank you for those comments. All right.
If I may, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, please, Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you through you, Mr. Mayor. I just have one question in regards to the bylaw itself. I noticed in a lot of neighboring municipalities that even on special event days where fireworks are allowed, they have a firework ban that comes out at the 11th hour. Is that as a result of this bylaw, or is that strictly weather related?
If I may add, your worship, that would be, your worship, that would be the situation where we're into a fire ban,
A fire ban.
fire and / fireworks ban.
Right.
And it is weather related. There's nothing more than that.
Okay. Thank you through you, Mr. Mayor, and to the fire chief. So implementing this type of policy is not going to impact those special dates. The only thing that would impact those are going to be fire bans and weather.
Correct.
Thank you.
Correct. And of course, going back even to the noise bylaw, events outside of the dates that are prescribed can be applied for with an exemption.
Every bylaw, you
All
can
right.
ask for its exemption. Sure.
Okay? So it's up to council whether you want to employ the tools or not. Council froze.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. I just don't think we've had enough time on this. I think even for a business selling it, it looks like there's gonna be increased storage storage expenses to these fireworks and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I'd like more time to mull this over. I'm not ready to vote in favor of it.
Okay, have you got, what have you got? Yeah.
Except for information and bring back later.
That's right. Well, that was finding there's a mover for that. So you're willing to move that for deferral.
Yes.
Is there someone who wants to second that? Councilor Emerson wants to second that. Read what you've got, Alan, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. That report FR 0326 regarding fireworks bylaw be received for information, and that a final version of the bylaw be presented to the council for enactment at a later date as amended.
Does that suit your needs? All right.
To be clear, so like, cause I can appreciate Harry's safety concerns and everything. I have no problem with what he's saying about where to light them off and
Mhm.
everything. I have concerns about toeholds into licensing for businesses to operate, which are likely operating. It just an overabundance, another layer of administration for a business. I mean, we could be talking about business permits next or other things like that, and it's restrictive. I just have a problem with that part of it. If that was struck out, I would support it tonight.
You want to consider that and bring back some consideration on that, chief, unless you know what I'm getting at, either, otherwise we do have a question on the floor. Let's duly moved in second.
Your worship, again, what I would like to do, and I will agree with Council Rose. I will do the research on it. I'll do the research with other municipalities to see exactly why they are doing it and what they are doing with it. And that would be the most disclosable way I can do this.
All right.
An open and fair way to do this, so that council has an honest and open opinion as to what other municipalities are doing it and to what the cost is to their businesses to other municipalities.
All right.
The only way I can see to deal with this correctly.
All right, thank you very much for that, chief. Really appreciate that. All right, there's a question on the floor to bring this back with further information. All in favor? All right, that's carried. Thank you, chief.
Thank you for your time, Your worship.
Taking some notes here. Okay. All right, let's move on to section 12, development services, sustainability and conservation. 12.1 correspondence, 12.11 to receive for information. Item A, notice of public meeting regarding zoning bylaw amendment ZBA 0426 Beach at 7923 Coyle Road. I don't believe that's correct. Is it?
Do you have the other agenda?
The other agenda? It was Van Quatham Farms, not,
That's Coyle Road.
yes. So that should be Van Quatham.
Yes, Your Worship, that's Van Queetham.
Thank you, because beach was light line.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's get that around then. Okay, so just for clarification, item A was dealing with the bylaw amendment for Van Quatham Farms. Item B is notice of adoption of Bayham official plan review. Okay? Any questions regarding the correspondence? All right, then I need a mover and seconder for the following, that items 12.11A through B be received for information. Moved by Counselor Froese, Counselor Chilcott will second. All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. 12.2. Reports to council. We have report DS 1326 by Evan McKinstry, Junior Planner, Elgin County, regarding consent applications E33-26 and E34-26. J&S Family Farms at 22 Ann Street, Vienna. There he is. Evan, please proceed with your report.
Thank you, Your Worship. So through you to council, the report before you is for consent applications E3326 and E3426. The purpose of these applications is to create 2 new parcels from the subject lands. The first severed parcel has an area of approximately 0.89 hectares and is intended to establish a new residential lot for a proposed single detached dwelling. The second severed parcel has an area of approximately 0.89 hectares as well, and is similarly intended to create a new residential lot accommodating a proposed single detached dwelling. The retained parcel will have an area of approximately 1.78 hectares and will include the existing dwelling on the accessory shed and above ground pool. The lands are designated within the Tier 1 settlement area in the Elgin County official plan, designated residential in BAM's official plan, and zone village residential 1. The applications are consistent with the provincial planning statement, conforms to the County of Elgin official plan and Municipality of Bayham official plan, as they all permit the creation of residential lots within settlement areas. Subject lands will satisfy all applicable zoning standards and permitted uses in the R1 zone. Staff also note that with each new connection, including consents, contributes to wastewater treatment plant capacity, which is approaching its limits as outlined in the previous report presented to council this evening. With that being said, it is recommended that council recommends approval to the Elgin County Land Division Committee for consent applications E3326 and E3426, which would facilitate 2 severances for the creation of 2 new lots, subject to the following conditions and considerations in Planning Report DS 1326. With that, I'm open to any questions or concerns. Thank you, Your Worship.
All right, thank you very much for that report, Evan. Does anyone have any concerns, any questions? They are rather narrow lots within that neighborhood. However, if you go down Ann Street a little further, the lots that we created and haven't sold yet are somewhat narrow as well. So I guess it's not inconsistent. 15 meters is applicable within a Tier 1 settlement area. Any concerns, any questions? Okay. All right. You know, I like planning reports because they have a lot of conditions sitting on for a resolution. Wry sense of humor from behalf of planners, right? All right.
Just accept them without you reading them.
Yeah, we could do that, but that wouldn't be fair to those at home. All right. So we have a proposed motion that reads that report DS 1326 regarding consent applications E33-26 and E34-26 submitted by Tracy Pillen Abs be received, and that council recommends approval to the Elgin County Land Division Committee for consent applications E33-26 and E34-26, which would facilitate 2 severances for the creation of 2 new lots, subject to the following conditions and considerations. Number 1, that the owner obtains all necessary permits from the municipality for the installation of new municipal water and sanitary service connections to each of the proposed severed lots. Item 2, that the owner obtains all necessary approvals and permits from the municipality for the extension of the municipal sanitary sewer, including installation of a manhole where required, to service the proposed lots, all to the satisfaction of the municipality. Item 3, that the owner obtains all necessary road occupancy and or road closure permits for the municipality, associated with the installation of municipal water and sanitary services to the satisfaction of the municipality. Number 4, that the owner obtains approval from the municipality for a road entrance permit for access to the proposed severed lots. Number 5, that the owner submits a request to the municipality for the civic address of each proposed severed lot. Number 6, that the owner provides an engineered stamped grading, drainage, and stormwater management plan for the severed lot to demonstrate that the lands will drain properly with no negative impacts on the neighboring lands or the street, all to the satisfaction of the municipality. Number 7, that any accessory structures located on the severed lands be removed or relocated as necessary to the satisfaction of the municipality prior to final consent approval. Number 8, that the owner pays fees as required in bylaw number 2025-007, cash in lieu of parkland to the municipality. Number 9, that the owner provides a digital copy of the final survey to the subject lands. Anyone interested in moving and seconding that? Councillor Froese will move. Councillor Emerson will second. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Moving on to item number B, which will report DS 1426 by Evan McKinstry, Junior Planner, Elgin County, regarding consent application E35-26 Decent at 55424 Vienna Line. Evan, please.
Thank you again, Your Worship. Through you to council, the report before you is for consent application E3526. The purpose of this application is to sever a parcel with a frontage of 15.15 meters and a regular depth of plus or minus 48 meters in an area of 960 meters squared to create a new residential lot. The applicant is retaining a lot with an area of 3,070 meters squared proposed to remain in residential use. The subject lands are located within the Tier 1 settlement area and are designated residential in the Municipality of Bayham official plan, and they are zoned Village Residential 1. The proposal is consistent with the provincial planning statement and conforms to both the Elgin County official plan and Municipality of Bayham official plan, as it represents appropriate residential intensification within an existing settlement area. The proposed severed lot meets all zoning requirements of the R1 zone. An accessory structure on the retained lands does not meet the required setbacks for the proposed property line. The existing structure is located approximately 0.73 meters from the proposed lot line, whereas the zoning bylaw requires a minimum setback of 1 meters from accessory structures. Accordingly, a minor variance application will be required to address this deficiency. Alternatively, the owner may choose to remove or relocate the existing accessory structure to achieve compliance with the minimum required setback. It should be noted that the existing driveway appears to encroach onto the adjacent property. The access should be realigned to ensure it is wholly contained within the subject lands and does not extend onto the adjacent property. Once again, staff also note that with each new connection, including consents, contributes to wastewater treatment plant capacity, which is approaching its limits as outlined within the previous report at tonight's council meeting. With that being said, it is recommended that council recommends approval to the Elgin County Land Division Committee for consent application E3526, which would facilitate the severance for the creation of a new lot, subject to the conditions and considerations in Planning Report DS 1426. And with that, I'm open to any questions or concerns. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you for the presentation, Evan. Does anyone have any questions? All right, seeing none, we have a proposed motion that report DS 1426 regarding the consent application E35-26 submitted by Jesse Froese be received. And that council recommends approval to the Elgin County Land Division Committee that consent application E35-26, which would facilitate the severance for the creation of a new lot, subject to the following conditions and considerations. Number 1, that the owner obtains all necessary permits from the municipality for the installation of new municipal water and sanitary service connections to the proposed severed lot. Number 2, I have a point of question on that one. The severed lot already has the house. The retained lot does not. So why would we want to make sure that there are permits necessary for the installation of new water to the severed lot? They're already there.
Through Your Worship, I believe it is supposed to say the retained lands, not correct.
Okay, so the proposed retained lot.
Yeah.
That makes more sense. Thank you, Evan. You got that, noted that on the, all right. Number 2, that the owner pay all fees to the municipality for the purchase of a civic address sign for the severed lot. Again, would that be for the retained or severed lot again? Because but it already exists.
Sorry, your worship, did Aaron say something? I couldn't hear it.
The retained. So it should be for retained. Thank you. Number 3, that the owner provides an engineered stamp grading, drainage, and stormwater management plan for the severed or retained lot. I'm curious because the one that's being severed is the house that's already severed. Okay, the retained lot doesn't have a building on it. Which one is going to have all the conditions? The retained? The retained. All right. I apologize to staff for this, but clarity is important. Okay. That the owner provides an engineered stamp grading, drainage, and stormwater management plan for the retained lot to demonstrate that the lands will drain properly with no negative impacts on the neighboring lands or the street, all to the satisfaction of the municipality. Number 4, that the owner provides confirmation with respect to the location of the existing municipal water and sanitary service connections to the retained lot. Should the existing municipal servicing laterals cross the proposed property lines or have insufficient clearance, the owner shall obtain a permit from the municipality for the installation of new municipal water and sanitary service connection to the retained lot. Number 5, that the owner obtains approval of a minor variance application or alternatively removes or relocates the existing accessory structure to ensure compliance with the minimum accessory structure setback requirement of 1 meter under zoning bylaw number Z 456/2003 to the satisfaction of the municipality prior to the consent approval. Number 6, that the owner pays fees as required in bylaw number 2025-007, cash in lieu of parkland to the municipality. Number 7, that the owner provides digital copy of the final survey of the subject lands. Okay, anyone interested in moving and seconding that? Councillor Emerson, Councillor Froese will second. All in favor? Okay, that's carried. Thank you. Item C, report DS 1526 by Evan McKinstry, Junior Planner, Elgin County Consent Application E 3726 Casinas at 6845 Plank Road, Vienna. Okay, Evan, please.
Thank you, your worship. Through you to council, the report before you is for consent application E 3726, which is municipally known as 6845 Plank Road. The purpose of this application is to sever a parcel with approximately 34.98 meters of frontage, 140.59 meters of depth, and a total area of 0.4 hectares for a technical severance. In addition, a 0.02 hectare portion is proposed to be severed and conveyed to the adjacent agricultural lands. The receiving parcel with an approximate area of 0.32 hectares is intended to function as a rural residential lot containing the existing dwelling, shed, and private services. This proposal has been submitted concurrently with consent application E 3826, which involves the severance of developable residential lands from the surrounding agricultural lands. Subject lands are designated agricultural area in the Elgin County and Bayham official plan with an agricultural A1 zoning. The proposal is consistent with the provincial planning statement and conforms to both the Elgin County official plan and Municipality of Bayham official plans, as a proposed technical severance is intended to incorporate the existing services along with a shed and driveway into the residential parcel. Accordingly, the proposal is consistent with planning policies as no new lot is being created. The proposal appropriately consolidates the existing residential dwelling and its associated services within a single rural residential parcel. Overall, the resulting land use pattern more accurately reflects the existing and intended use of each parcel. The proposal meets the intent of the Municipality of Bayham zoning bylaw. A zoning bylaw amendment is required to rezone the subject lands from an agricultural 1A1 zone to a rural residential RR zone, as the receiving parcel will no longer comply with the provisions of the A1 zone following the technical severance. The RR zone more accurately reflects the existing and intended residential use of the property, and the resulting parcel is anticipated to comply with all applicable RR zone provisions. With that being said, it is recommended that council recommends approval to the Elgin County Land Division Committee that consent application E3726, which would facilitate a technical severance subject to the conditions and considerations in planning report DS 15. With that, I'm open to any questions or concerns. Thank you again, Mr. Worship.
Okay, thank you for that report, Evan. Does anyone have any questions? When you look at the map, Evan, like, it's not abundantly clear to me. I would trust that the planners know what they're doing because the intent is just to sever the house, correct?
So the intent, a little bit of background,
Yes.
the owner owns the adjacent farmland and the house
Yep.
parcel. So with the next severance application coming up, E38 26, they're severing the agricultural land within the settlement area for a future subdivision. This is just reestablishing the residential lot with all the private services and intended uses of the residential parcel. So this is just, it's considered more of a lot boundary adjustment just to get all the residential services just onto one parcel for right now.
So the back end of that property, which is labeled on the map as severed, is actually going to be retained with the farm.
No, sorry, retained with the house parcel. So it's a lot addition to the house parcel right now.
Oh. Oh. Plus, a little bit of it's gonna, there's gonna be a little bit of it, or is it gonna take it out of the field there where the squared lot is, or?
Through your worship.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. I do believe this house was previously severed. And the
Was it?
little corner you see now is going to be allocated back to the farmland.
All
That
right.
Tiny little pizza sliver there,
All right,
if I understand correctly.
Through your worship, that's correct.
okay. Thank you. Anyone else have any questions? Thanks for clarification. Appreciate it. All right. Then we have a proposed motion that reads that report DS 1526 regarding the consent application E37-26 submitted by Stephen Cornwell be received. And that council recommends approval to the Elgin County Land Division Committee that consent application E37-26, which facilitates a technical severance subject to the following conditions and considerations. 1, that the owner provide written confirmation from the qualified septic designer on the location of the private septic system to ensure the location meets the Ontario Building Code requirements for setbacks from property lines and will not be affected by the severance of parcel D. 2, that the owner provide written confirmation of the location of the well servicing the dwelling, ensuring it is located on the retained lands. 3, that the owner provides a digital copy of a final survey of the subject lands. 4, that the owner obtains approval of zoning bylaw amendment for the enlarged retained parcel from an agricultural A1 zone to a rural residential RR zone. Need a mover and seconder for this, unless you're Councillor Emerson, Councillor Froese. All in favor? That's carried. Did I miss? Well, I guess this is another one.
Yes, sir.
All right. Report DS 1626 by Evan McKinstry, Junior Planner, Elgin County regarding consent application E38-26 Casinas Plank Road, Vienna. Zero Plank.
Yes, your worship.
Okay. Evan?
Thank you, your worship. So through you to council, the purpose of this application is to sever a parcel with approximately 120.23 meters of frontage, 171.5 meters of depth, and a total area of 6.58 hectares, intended to accommodate future residential development within the Vienna settlement boundary. The retained lands with an area of approximately 17.59 hectares are proposed to remain in agricultural use. The proposal has been submitted concurrently with the technical severance application, E3726, which was just discussed, which will influence the final configuration of the retained parcel. Subject lands are designated Tier 1 settlement area, agricultural and natural heritage system in the Elgin County official plan. Designated residential and agricultural in the Bayham official plan. The lands are zoned agricultural 1, village residential 1, and village residential 1 with a holding provision of H1 and H4. The proposal is consistent with the provincial planning statement and conforms to both the Elgin County OP and Municipality of Bayham official plans, as a severed parcel is located within the designated settlement area of Vienna. I would like to bring to council's attention that I will be introducing an oral amendment in relation to the conditions outlined in Planning Report DS 1626 that was posted to the agenda. While the proposal meets the intent of the Municipality of Bayham zoning bylaw, a zoning bylaw amendment will be required to rezone the retained agricultural lands to a site-specific agricultural 1A1 zone to permit a reduced lot area. The severed lands will require a holding provision H2. The holding provision ensures that the future residential development does not proceed until a subdivision agreement or further consent applications are completed, and all servicing, financial, and parkland dedication or cash in lieu requirements have been satisfied. In order to address these matters, the following conditions will be forwarded to the Elgin County Land Division Committee. 1, that the owner obtains approval from the municipality for a road entrance permit, light line for a new access to the proposed severed lot. 2, that the owner pay all fees to the municipality for the purchase of a civic address sign for the severed lot. 3, that the owner apply for and obtain approval of a zoning bylaw amendment to apply an H2 holding provision to the severed lands such that future residential development shall not proceed until a subdivision agreement or future consent applications and associated servicing and financial requirements, including any applicable parkland dedication or cash in lieu requirements, have been addressed to the satisfaction of the municipality. 4, that the owner provides a digital copy of the final survey of the subject lands. And 5, that the owner obtains approval of a zoning bylaw amendment to rezone the retained agricultural parcel to an agricultural A1 special provision zone to permit a reduced lot area. That being said, is recommended that council recommends approval to the Elgin County Land Division Committee for consent application E3826, which would facilitate the severance for the creation of a new lot subject to the conditions previously read. And with that, I'm open to any questions or concerns. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you very much for that, Evan. You basically read the recommendation out so that I won't have to repeat it. And I appreciate that. Does anyone have any questions regarding this application? And I know it's obviously clear to those around council, but the only reason why this is allowed is because it is land within the village boundary. Councilor Frozen.
Thank you through you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to send kudos to past planners for the most unique lot in Bayham, that long narrow one there.
Okay. Yes. Yes, a long light line there. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting, isn't it? Well, you know what? That was done before you and I were around the
I
horseshoe.
I realize that.
I suspect before the village was even incorporated into the municipality. All right. Anyone willing to move and second the recommendation as was read? Councillor Froze will move. Councillor Emerson will second. All in favor? And it is carried. And again, thank you for that, Evan. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Did majority raise their hand?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
I did carry that, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
I thought I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Been a long day.
Well, it's been a long day. I gotta check. Okay, moving on. With section 13, finance and administration, 13.1 correspondence and 1.1 to receive for information. Item A, we have correspondence from the Western Ontario Wardens Caucus, support of Finley's law on emergency room reform. Baseball. Item B, Saugeen Shores regarding Architectural Conservancy of Ontario. Proposal to include $10 million per year in the 2026 provincial budget for Heritage Helping Housing grant funding. Item C, Watson Associates regarding Bill 98, Building Homes and Improving Transportation Infrastructure Act 2026 and regulatory proposal 020312. Item D, Marnie Wolf regarding request for action. E, Town of Halton Hills regarding provincial municipal fiscal frameworks. F, Elgin County regarding the council highlights for April the 14th, 2026. G, Elgin County regarding committee of the whole meeting minutes, March the 24th, 2026. H, Elgin County council meeting minutes, March 24th, 2026. I, Elgin County, regarding the spring 2026 economic development and tourism update. Does anyone have any item of correspondence they wish to draw attention to, ask questions, support? Counselor Emerson, please.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I think Marnie Wolf's correspondence is worthy of some discussion and some recommendations and motion going forward.
All right, thank you for that. Council, wish to talk about that a little further?
Yeah.
Counselor Chilcott.
I think we should talk about it. It was a request. It wasn't a receipt for information according to this, so we should be actually looking at it. Right, request for action,
I'm refamiliarizing myself with what's being asked.
13.1.1.
Yes.
It says it's a request for action, not receipt for information.
I appreciate that. I'm going to the correspondence directly and trying to
Oh,
figure out what
sorry.
it is she was asking for. I'm going to ask staff right now, under the request for actions, development of an improved public facing educational materials. Is this something, Alan, that's within the wheelhouse and something that staff can accommodate?
So through your worship to council, I would caution being involved in educational material regarding these items because the bodies that they will be engaging with after us are our check and balance. So if we start educating people on whether they should be going to the closed meeting investigator or the integrity commissioner, we inject ourselves into the conversation.
All right.
I do have concerns specifically pointed at myself that if I was to put out some form of educational program or be involved in regulating how information is flowing to them, I would be overstepping my boundaries and basically taking away my own check and balance.
Understood. Then the question becomes, Alan, are you aware of any materials available through the ministry responsible for the Integrity Commission process? I assume that's Municipal Affairs and Housing. Is there anything that they might have from an educational perspective that we might be able to at least provide?
Through your worship, most likely, however, it would be appropriate to inquire with our integrity commissioner and therefore start having billable hours,
Yeah.
whether they approve of the messaging, because they are the ones that would be the body for it.
That,
Councilor Emerson, I have one more question, then I'm coming to you. Given Bill 9 or Bill 8? One or the other is working its way through the system. We still haven't had that consolidation of integrity commission powers or wherever else. Are we premature in trying to get this, and hopefully the province would provide guidance on what is appropriate use and what isn't appropriate use of this resource?
Through your worship, I very much hope that the province does provide a more clear direction regarding these items and that we can address them in the near future. I should note that there is a RFP or RFT a schedule for early 2027 where we will be re-engaging with our contract commissioners. These processes are part of those tenders.
Yes.
So I would worry that if we start injecting actions without consulting our investigator, we could be in breach of contract. I'm not saying we are, but we could.
I see. Councilor Emerson.
considering all Alan's comments, which I take with, but in a more general sense, this is speaking to an issue that we asked for a report 4 months ago that we haven't seen, which was to investigate ways and harassment policies and stuff like this. So this kind of speaks to that. And there was also a request for in-depth review of the bylaw complaints. That was, yes, we asked for more clarity on who there was, 70% of 70%, who is it a concentrated group of individuals? We asked for that report when Mr. Russell presented his bylaw report. We asked and passed a motion asking for more details. So it speaks to our whole, Marnie's letter, the bylaw report, the request for, improvement with dialogue and harassment and all that stuff that speaks to a bigger issue with how the community and us relate with each other and coming up with ways to, either engage people in a more appropriate manner or train people, or not train people, but suggest to people how to interact with council and decorum and all that kind of stuff. And there should be, if this letter comes forward, there should be a comprehensive report or an investigation on how the community can relate to us in a more dignified manner and us with them in a more dignified manner, or find out where the source problems is and define a policy with engagement with council and our staff. So we did ask for these two things that we've never seen come back again. And so I think this is part and parcel of that. And whenever these reports come forward, I would like the three things come together and just build, I think we'd build a stronger and better community if we could figure out how to mitigate some of the misunderstandings or meanness or whatever you want to call it in it, or whatever the misunderstanding is in the community.
I'm gonna ask Alan to, and I don't expect you're gonna have it tonight, but push up that resolution regarding the bylaws. That brought back the police investigation reports. That's what my understanding of that was. You asked for harassment, anti-harassment stuff or measures from staff. There isn't any. There isn't any, Counselor.
I know, but I mean, we should investigate that stuff.
What do you want to do?
Like, there has to be a better way with like multiple emails to people and streamline. I was asked how we could better, there was a report way back. I can't remember the exact details, but we did ask for information in an investigation. Did we not?
We did.
Yeah,
And what was the result?
we didn't get
We
it.
didn't get a result.
Maybe there isn't any.
Well, then there should be a report back to
That's the result.
council that says that we shouldn't have done anything. So that kind of got shelved and never followed up on.
Can you follow up on and bring those things back forward?
Yes, your worship, please.
Alan?
Your worship, I should note that current capacity
I understand that.
is, okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's what I'm getting at.
Okay, I perfectly, through you, Mr. Mayor, I perfectly understand the restrictions. But I think that instead of just filing this for information, we should file it with some action in the future, this report, like she says, maybe there is some suggestions that she brought forward, which I think are quite well, that are worth looking at and not just filing for information.
I would agree. And I again, it goes back to what's permissible within the particular act and the process. And of course, things are in flux at the moment with Bill 9 or Bill 8. I can't remember which one it is. I'm sorry. But there's been suggested to me that some municipalities charge an administration fee. I don't know if that's permissible under the act. Staff will have to let us know whether that's something that can or cannot be done. Alan, because these things are applied directly through to the integrity commissioner. They don't necessarily go through the municipality to get there. Some people have the integrity commissioner on direct dial.
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is it's part of a bigger.
I understand that. I
Yeah.
get it. But there are laws in place, my understanding, to protect your employees. But other than civil court, I don't know what's available to protect council. It's interesting because the Integrity Commission is pointed at council members on how we interact with the public, but there's nothing other than civil court governing how people interact with you. I know it's lopsided. And it
No,
is.
I actually really don't care about the counselor part. I actually care more about the flow of information and how it flows from public to staff and staff to public. And there should be a review of that policy or develop a policy of what's acceptable and not acceptable. Right?
I think there is, but anyway. Councilor Chilcott, please.
Thank you. So when I read Marnie's letter, I look at it and she's looking for a way to explain to the general public in real words, not in the thou shall and thou shan't. Make it readable so people can understand it and clear and transparent that the first step isn't the integrity commissioner. The first step should be, did you speak to anyone on council to see if you could get a resolution? What happened then? Did they do something that they shouldn't have, or are you not getting anywhere? Here's your next step. Like basically put down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps before you get to the integrity commissioner. Because I'm sure that there's people out there that go to the integrity commissioner, not realizing how much it costs the municipality, and they're not even sure if it's something that needs to be addressed, that they should have gone to somewhere else with. And I think that's part of, if you had a button or something, do you have a complaint? And then here's your steps to follow through. That type of thing is what I'd like to see.
That's a
I
policy
appreciate
and
that.
procedure.
And as alluding to what the clerk had just administered, it gets into double jeopardy when it's the clerk's office from the municipality trying to provide that information. It should be from the ministry. It should be from the province or the integrity commissioner who is actually providing that kind of guidance.
Why can't we put a, sorry, through you,
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, why can't we put a bylaw in place?
Go for it.
Why is that funny?
Because you can put as many bylaws as you want, but unless someone's going to enforce it, they're no good. And as
Okay.
long as somebody's willing to follow it, they're no good. So that's why I laugh at it. I'm sorry. Yeah, please, Councillor Frost.
That's fine. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm not on social media, but I feel there's a small group of people that just are disappointed in everything that this council does.
Yeah.
And seems they're miserable with everything we do. And to have it cost us $40,000, which doesn't include this year's investigation, 2026. So we're probably up to $50,000 in taxpayer money. In a municipality that's small, that's a percentage point on our tax levy, or how close to whatever it's huge money for us. And that is so disappointing. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at it in a positive way.
Mhm.
Anybody who doesn't know, I get reminded 2 times a day, we have an election coming soon. So anybody around this horseshoe,
Mhm.
if anybody in the public wants to know, there's nobody been more investigated than us. We're upstanding, upright, honest, all day long counselors. And it's been proven by $50,000 worth of investigations within this last sitting of council. I want to look at it in a positive way. So whoever's calling in on us, thank you. That's a positive.
Well, thank you for your take on that, Councillor Frost, but I do agree with you. I think it's I agree in the Integrity Commission process and the closed meeting investigation process. They're there for a particular reason. I have problems with misuse of the process, and I think that's what we're all
That's what we're
dancing around. And I acknowledge that it has been misused. We are not unique. It's been misused in various municipalities around the Central Algon is one in within the county of Algon for sure. But not everybody has them. We've had our fair share of it. And I was trying to find a way that perhaps something that at this level that we can do to help address some of this, and trying to, as you wish, to get more information out there of a process. You're right. You get into a bit of a quarrel, you should go talk to the person you're having a quarrel with rather than go to the cops, right? But yeah. So, and I appreciate your comments too, Councilor Emerson. We need to be treating one another the way we want to be treated. It doesn't happen. That's unfortunate. But,
It does
we can hold
happen,
it.
just not enough.
Thank you, Councillor Rose. You're absolutely right. We only have a few of these things, I'm sure. But
I just really think it's worth putting forward to some kind of human resource person to develop policies and procedures, so. But if you disagree, that's fine, but I really think there is something that we can do to improve relations and just have a better dialogue and understanding, right?
Fair enough.
And if some people are never happy, they're never happy, that's fine, but I think in general, when we get distracted, not distracted, but our opinions are reinforced by social media, and then we react in ways that probably we shouldn't, both ways.
Yep.
And I really think there needs to be a policy. So I'm thankful that Marnie brought this forward, and
Yep.
and maybe that spurs the report that council requested earlier at some point to come forward, and we can incorporate all these ideas into something constructive.
Okay, thank you for that. Yes, Councillor Chilcott.
Not about this. Are you moving?
I was going to move on if there's any more discussion on this particular piece of correspondence. Oh, there's a hand up. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you through you, Mr. Mayor. I just have a quick clarification question for staff, if I may. When a constituent or when a resident comes forward with a complaint about the conduct around the horseshoe, if they come to the office, what's the process in the office at this time?
You want to comment on that, Alan, or probably in a better position than the treasurer is?
Thank you, Your Worship. At this point in time, if we had a walk-in complaint and or correspondence to staff, I think it's really, the thing that's really hard about these issues is you can't just have a straight process. Everything has to be treated individually in the moment. The complainants could be on different ends of the spectrum on their opinions and things along those lines. If we try to put this into a box, we have an issue that the box might not fit, which is why we have the ombudsperson and the investigators who deal with these more complex issues. If we receive a complaint right now, we take it very seriously and we try to resolve it, but I wouldn't say there's a process.
To you, Mr. Mayor, if I may, I feel as though that could be where there's a bit of disconnect, in the sense that I know that staff's position isn't too direct, but if our automatic response is to send them to the ministry or to the integrity commissioner, then that explains why we're here. So I'm just trying to figure out. Okay, I see lots of hands, so maybe I'll just step back and listen.
Okay, we'll go with Alan first before I go to Lauren.
I should provide a clarification. We do not direct any member of the public to the integrity commissioner, the ombudsperson, or closed meeting investigator. We try to resolve the issues to the best of our ability in the moment. If we reach an impasse in which there's no resolution in our conversation, we may provide the information that those services are available. But even in those situations, we don't direct or stop people from going to those groups. There are check and balance.
Okay. Lauren?
Just to reiterate what the clerk's comments, senior staff and frontline staff are not directing residents' concerns either on the phone or the counter to use those for trying to mitigate with the staff department head or the clerk, CAO, and treasurer of the matter, or the drainage superintendent. We've had drainage complaints that have reportedly went to ombudsman. We've had financial complaints with ombudsman. And we've also had financial complaints go to our external auditor and through those mechanisms. So staff are trying to resolve it. Sometimes staff can be at an impasse with the individual. The individual sometimes will not use the staff resource and go right to those results. However, I will remind council can also use the ombudsman, and that's billed to the municipality. The CEO can also make questions to the integrity commissioner, and that's billable. Every time someone calls the integrity commissioner, it's billable. It's a lawyer. So the whip does go and the clock continues. So sometimes the use is for staff resources. Sometimes the use is for council's questions. So just to, damper that Not all that cost is related. There is times what integrity commissioner is used by internal resources and council. And other municipalities have documented the cost of integrity commissioner. Just recently, Norfolk County documented their cost and what it impacted their residents in similar cases. And they had varying matters throughout the municipality in multiple departments.
All right,
Residents
thank you.
also can use the ombudsman too. And staff work with the ombudsman to resolve those issues as well.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that. I think specifically, I think, correct me, Deputy Mayor, but I think what you're asking is, should someone come in, they have a specific complaint against a member of council, is there a process that staff would go there? I would say that my personal inclination would be for staff to say, did you talk to him? Simple as that. Did you talk to him? So other than that, I'm not sure what else staff can do. They're there to provide a service and not unfortunately, but the ombudsman, the integrity, any complaint process is available. Yeah. Did I capture that right, Deputy Mayor?
Yes, thank you through you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I will say, I have seen, and this is no disrespect at all by any means. I think we do a great job in Bayham. I have seen other municipalities who, I know it sounds silly, but when you go in there, it's like the rat cart is there with all kinds of stuff, frequently asked questions and all kinds of flyers. And I know county has some, they have sort of like the planning process 101, this 101, all kinds of educational resources that are available. And I know some areas provide those on a regional level, county level. So, it might be something for us to look into. If someone just has a query and they're coming into the office, instead of directing them to a website or directing them somewhere else, like if we had those materials available that were snapshots of the processes, I think that would be helpful. I've shared some of those materials with our previous clerk, and I think that some of that stuff would be useful in Bayham.
So did you share materials on process for
Not-
dealing with conflict?
Not specifically to the integrity commissioner, but and I'm just wondering if they have these materials that are available for other municipal matters, such as the planning process, like guides to the planning process, guides to this, like if those guides exist, they have to exist for anything that has to do with municipal, including conflicts.
You wish to comment on that, Mr. Clerk?
Through your worship, there are specific systems that do exist for conflict and controlling public behavior within our institution, in the building and online. There are various different programs for that. I would say that they do have a lot of merit. They are beneficial. And I would say that in the long-term vision of the corporation, those things that should absolutely be brought in. With the current situation, staff, without getting into individuals, and I'll identify myself, I'm actively the returning officer. So when I inject myself into truth and appropriateness, I put myself and the municipality in a dangerous position during these next few months. So it's not that I'm against these type of things. I think they absolutely have merit. They should be done. We're in a dangerous window to be approaching them.
Well, I understand that, and that's another component of it, but no, more germane is the fact that it's not the place for the municipality to be preparing these materials. But if someone had these materials available for, that's why I'm going back to the ministry. If the ministry had, or the integrity commissioner had, these kinds of materials, conflict resolution, have you tried this, and here's the last, And that's what you're asking for, and I think that's what you're asking for too, Counselor Emerson. But we don't have those materials. But anyway, we've had good discussion around this particular item of correspondence. And I appreciate that. So I think we should always strive to do better, of course, yes. But we need to be looking for some method of alternative rather than always running to the principal. Sorry. For a bit of a school teacher analogy there. You had a different, another piece of correspondence you want to talk about?
I did. So
Please.
for somebody who's been to the emergency room 6 times in the last
Mhm.
6 weeks and sat there, like spent an entire weekend in Emerge, I think we should support Finley's Law
Okay.
because, yeah, I mean, they do a great job, but
Mhm.
they just don't have the resources. They followed us through, they got us, they did everything, but they don't have the resources to continue through, and it's a shame. And that was both Tilsonburg and St. Thomas emergencies.
Yep.
So, you know, they're both the same. The wait times are basically the same, everything. So
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Anything else? All right, I would like to highlight 2 pieces here. One, we've seen it before, and it's the provincial municipal fiscal framework, which town of Halton Hills is calling for. We've supported that kind of similar motion in the past, just to keep it forefront. The social, what do they call that? The social responsibility. Yeah, it was a buzzword through AMO. Yeah. The second thing is just to draw attention again to Watson Associates analysis on Bill 98. Just keep that forefront. Again, it's just trying to provide an education piece, let you know what's coming. There's a lot of change moving through the province, and yeah, it's a bit of a task trying to keep up. I don't want to lose sight of that item D. You're absolutely right. I don't know how we pull it out unless there's something that we can find from an external source to help address some of this. Alan,
Your worship, I think the takeaway from this will be, I will do a quick search to see if there's any open material from the ombuds ministry or the integrity commissioner. But any form of immediate direct action may be troubling in our current window.
I understand that. Yeah, just from where we are. But anything to try to improve relations, or at least conduct. I got it. Okay.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, can we file that with the request for the report to council from previous things?
You want to link it?
Yes, I do.
Put it in a motion.
Well, it's the crafty guy.
There are a couple of things there. If I were to suggesting you'd want to receive for information, you would want to support item A. And you would like to see item D referred to staff for further comment, or yeah, pardon me.
I don't know about
Who spoke
action,
up?
but refer,
What action?
well,
Define the action, please.
Action is to look into.
to put it with the report that we're supposed to get at some point.
And I would like to be recalled on what that particular item is. If it was on the bylaw, I thought it was about the number of police visits.
No, that was one resolution. There was a second one, plus there was one back, I believe, in August or September. Asking for us to investigate ways to develop policies and procedures for better engagement with the community. Is way back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I recall that.
Yeah.
Have you found one?
No, I'm not staff. So.
Your worship, I think this may be an ideal time for acting CEO James to maybe weigh in on this. And apologies through you to CEO James.
You're putting Mr. James on the spot here regarding the action item for number D. Lauren?
Your worship, through to council and to Councilor Emerson. the province does have some resources. They're very thin. The ombudsman has some resources. Um, putting basic communication and flyers in the office would probably be the frontline thing we would do, and maybe a handful of links. Um, they're independent bodies. We can't discourage community members from using them, and staff are in a unbiased, defined position role. Um, we're coming into an election where we're going to soon be in a period where some of this. So the likelihood that we would have something back before we're lame duck, probably not likely, Your Worship and Councillor Emerson, because right now we are um, extremely short with staff resources in administration and extremely short in the clerk's department. I'm not trying to defer your request, but I'm trying to put it the rest of the priorities with the resources we have.
Mr. Mayor, that is understood. The request was to link this report to the resolution back earlier. That's what the request is. Have you got that worded? That's all I'm asking for, because there was direction from council to investigate policies and procedures, and I just want to link this to it because it seems to be that it's the same issue evolving in a different way.
All right, what have you got?
All right. Through your worship, and this is not meant to put words in the councillor's mouth, but I'm attempting to summarize. That staff review previous motions regarding bylaw and or public conflict resolutions. And that staff check to see if the ministry, ombuds, and integrity commissioner have any material available for circulation immediately.
He still wants this item D.
Item D attached to the resolution that was passed in, I believe, August. I couldn't tell you exactly, but.
So that, and that item D is attached to the resolution passed in August? Or
Well,
Whenever it was. Earlier resolution. I don't know.
I'm not sure that's going to get what you're after, Councillor Armstrong. I think the idea is if you want staff to provide additional research or something on this, and it's a time commitment issue.
I understand, but someday that has to come forward, and someday with a new council or whatever that you know, for the good of public relations, we should investigate that. And I know, it speaks to a larger problem about staffing and whatnot, but still, I believe that that's important. At some point, somewhere in the future, we develop policies and procedures or review policies and procedures. Maybe someone independent has to do it. You hire someone to go through that whole human resource, not human resource, or public relations. There has to be a public relation expert someplace.
There are conflict resolution courses offered through it.
No, that's not what I'm asking for. I'm asking for a public relations person to develop policies and procedures, not conflict resolution. But it's okay.
So-
It's okay. I'm gonna drop it because, yeah.
I think there's a clarity issue going on here, a little confusion, but still. I think the intent is that that this piece doesn't just get lost. Yes. That the intent
That's
is
exactly the intent.
brought forward for future discussion, or what do you want to do with it? Like brought forward, you want to have it with some kind of background document for.
What we asked for, I know the staffing thing and everything, we don't have to reiterate that, but we did. Council agreed to investigate means or whatever the resolution was back then. And it seems like if I don't attach Marnie's thing to it, then it's just, staff had not the ability or the interest, probably not the ability, so I don't want to accuse anybody of anything to follow that resolution that was passed in council.
Lauren,
Maybe the motion should be to direct staff to investigate options and to examine if an external consultant can bring forward the request from Councillor Emerson and address the matters, and also be able to engage with documents that improve policy procedure and community stakeholder relations. Something of that magnitude, your worship.
Thank you, Lauren.
that
Through you,
will
Mr. Mayor.
probably work, but at the same token, don't expect a quick turnaround.
I'm not.
All right.
I'm just expecting it to be addressed at some point in the
But to
future.
caution council, there will be a cost. This will come at a specialist and a consultant rate.
Well, you got a point. We're having a cost now. Okay.
All right, so your worship, I don't have everything Lauren just said, but I think that's the resolution we want. I can grab that from the review. And
Well, that will be second or third part of the resolution. The first part is receive these items from. Okay. Items 1311A through I be received for information. That council supports item A.
And yours too. You want it?
Oh, well, no, I just wanted to bring that to attention, just so people. Yeah, but supports item A. And that. If I colloquially say whatever Lauren said.
Yes, it is. I'm so sorry, but I think.
Do you want me to try to regurgitate it?
Well, good luck.
Okay, I'll go simple, Alan, and we'll try to keep this concise. That council directs staff to engage and review the use of an external consultant to address the following items. 1, improved community and stakeholder relations relating to council and community dynamics. 2, improving community understanding of the external mechanisms available to deal with difficult or challenging situation, i.e. integrity commissioner or ombudsman office policies and procedures. 3, ways to improve relations with council and the community at large. Now you guys can pick and chew that apart, but I can't do that a third time, your worship. My head will probably explode.
We're asking you to cross trade here from your numbers to administration. The only. I recommend the council, given the motion there, it's a direction. Could you soften a little more and just direct staff to explore or investigate? Rather than
That's
completely
similar to
engage?
the previous resolution, but yes, explore methods or even people or organizations.
Sure.
That we could.
I'm just thinking that even given again the resources that they've got, it might be something that they can come forward with a package, even if it's for the next council. Right?
Yeah.
Planning
That's what,
perspective.
that's
I
actually
think
what
we're-
we asked for in August.
Okay, does that make better sense? Cause so you
Yes.
inject the word explore. Or investigate, I don't care.
Just to ask for direction and clarification, your worship, you're expecting for the next council report to staff will have a staff report on potential third-party consultants that we can engage with?
You're not gonna have it for the next council meeting.
Okay.
That's what I'm trying, that you're telling me now that you don't have the resources to do this right now.
I also
Councilor
believe that we
Emerson-
should engage in a specialist because this is,
You can't do it right now, is what I'm trying to give you a runway for. And
I'm
Councilor
just
Emerson's
looking for
trying
a
to say-
pathway forward for the
Yes.
future. So whoever is,
Yes,
right, that there can be better relations that, you know. In whatever, in a smoother functioning thing, right?
Well, I think this tries to do what you want to do, preserve
I'm out
that
of
this,
words.
this item of correspondence is still there. Have we got you all convoluted and
I'm missing 5 or 6 words from what Lauren's list said.
that's fine.
However, I believe that I can rebuild this through
All right.
watching the video, and I believe council as a whole understands the spirit and intent of what this request is.
All right.
Do I have to give a motion for you to reconstruct the motion?
No, no, I filed.
You could, but.
Yeah, what's on?
Can we get a mover and seconder for the spirit of that motion? Counselor Froze, Counselor Emerson. And I can even get a triplet here, if you will. All in favor of that spirit of it? Okay, that's carried. Thank you. Good discussion, not easy discussion. No. Okay. All right. Why is it the little, well, okay, this is big stuff. We always spend a lot of time on stuff. Anyway. Section 13.2 reports to council, report CL 0526 by Alan Bushel regarding the establishment of joint compliance audit committee. Boilerplate stuff.
Oh, yes, sir. Through your worship, this will be very, very quick. This is a standard committee that's created for any and all elections. 6 of the 7 local municipalities have already signed on. We're us being the last one. We used the same system last time. Strong recommendation that we join the group for administrative ease and broader perspective on any conflict in the election.
Any questions? And thank you for that report. Again, boilerplate, it's something that we need to do. Okay. Motion would read that report titled 2026 Municipal Election Establishment of Joint Compliance Audit Committee be received and filed, and that council considered a bylaw establishing an election joint compliance audit committee for the 2026 municipal election in accordance with the Municipal Elections Act 1996 as amended under section 14 of this agenda. I need a mover and seconder. I see Councillor Chilcott and Councillor Emerson. All in favor? Okay, that's carried. Brings us to section 14 of the bylaws. We have 4. Bylaw number 2026-024 being a bylaw to appoint municipal enforcement officers for the municipality of Bayham. Bylaw number 2026-025 being a bylaw to appoint secretary treasurer for the municipality of Bayham. Should that be secretary treasurer for committee of adjustment, or is it doesn't need?
Your worship, I intentionally used the municipality in case there was any cross between the Planning Act and the Municipal Act.
All right. Item C, bylaw number 2026-026 being a bylaw to regulate the display sale setting. We don't need that one. That one's set aside. So item D, bylaw number 2026-028 being a bylaw to establish an election joint compliance audit committee for the 2026 municipal election in accordance with the Municipal Elections Act 1996 as amended. Okay, I need a mover and seconder for the following. That bylaw number 2026-024, 2026-025, 2026-028. Yes,
You nailed it, actually.
of course I nailed it, but thank you. Be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed. All in favor. I'm sorry, I'm so excited about nailing it. Councilor Emerson. Move, Councilor Furrow second, all in favor. That's carried. We're in section 16. We have other business. You have that now. Put your argument forward, Alan, please.
Thank you, worship. Before my argument, I would like to commend his worship on the dedication you have to procedure and following it. And I want to apologize because I started speaking to this item before I should have earlier.
Yep.
Thank you very much for forgiving me for that. And then moving forward with this, there's a strong recommendation from staff that we move the June 18th meeting to the June 25th. There are multiple reasons for this. The primary one is council preparation for June 18th would be unideal because we won't have an appointed deputy clerk to create the agenda because I will be on a leave for that previous week. We also have 4 of 5 weeks of council meetings, and if we space it out a little bit, it might be a little bit better for us to operate. We also have our July meeting a couple of weeks in, because that's when we go to the single per month. And by moving the 18th to 25th, we actually have a better spread in across the summer.
All right. Council, any objections to changing the second meeting date in June? From the 15th to the, you say, the 25th, 18th to 25th? Any concerns?
None at all. I will be out of country and gone. I will not be available.
You got laptop. You got phone.
No Wi-Fi.
Man.
It's fine, but maybe if counselors at some point need to move a date because they have a hard thing, I hope that if,
The same consideration?
yeah.
Put it in a motion. How's that?
Well, I don't know if it needs a motion. I would just say, listen, a favor
but
deserves a
if
favor.
that comes, if it can be planned for, we can do that. But
Okay.
because these are published ahead of time, the only way to change it is through motion.
All right, understood.
Okay. Al,
Your worship, that was a fantastic question posed by the counselor. Our procedural bylaw does speak to its council's ultimate discretion to move council meetings. So if the clerk says no, you can overrule me.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Okay, that is procedural bylaw.
Let's try that.
so what is your wish?
Approve the move. It's good. It's good.
Okay, moved by Counselor Froese, second by Counselor Emerson, that the June 18th meeting be moved to June 25th. All in favor? Okay. It's carried. Thank you. Now, moving on to the confirming bylaw. That bylaw number 2026-029 be read first, second, and third time and finally passed. Can I have a mover and seconder? Councilor Emerson will move. I see Deputy Mayor's got her hand up. She'll second that. All in favor? Carried. And I have a question before we adjourn. What happened to 2026-027?
Oh, your worship, there is a bylaw that came in just after the line. It'll be coming to the next meeting. It's a delegation of duties regarding site plan approval. It will be on the next agenda. Will be brought forward.
Okay, thank you. So that brings us to the adjournment, that the council meeting be adjourned at 9:12 PM. Who wants to move that? Councilor Chilcott wants to move that. Wow. And Councilor Froese will second. All in favor of that? And we're carried. Thank you. Good discussion tonight.